Right, today we're going to look at SD 51.19, the Chatuka Vesaraja Sutta, the Fourth Discourse on Intrepidity, A 4.8. The theme is on the four certain qualities of the Buddha. Vesaraja is one of the most beautiful Pali words that show our commitment to the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Noble Sangha. Basically, it means we are willing and able to stand up for the Dhamma. When we stand up for the Dhamma, that means we speak for it, we present it as taught by the Buddha, we present it as the way that the practice of it makes sense of us. The Buddha Dhamma as it is, in other words. This teaching is very important because today we know too much. In the Buddha's time, when listening is the key method of learning the Dhamma, for the matter any religion, you go to the teacher, you listen carefully, wisely, you pay attention. There is this connection. There is this humanization and socialization. We connect with the teacher, we connect with the teaching, we connect with the community. But now with printing, with books, with the Buddha's teachings committed to writing, people can take it home and read it by themselves. In other words, the Dhamma has become private and privatized. So in early Buddhism, when we use the word private truth, pacceka sacca, it means something very limited, a view that someone has from his own weaknesses and bias, which only reflects a minuscule part of reality. So it's not the whole truth at all. And it's not very helpful even to himself. So we have to come out of that kind of rut. We have to stand up for the Dhamma, so to speak. We have to, or perhaps we talk of meditation, you have to sit down for the Dhamma. You have to sit for the Dhamma. You have to sit in stillness, in peace, in clarity, and joy. So in this Chatuka Vesaraja Sutta, it talks about four kinds of beautiful truth that nobody can deny. Basically, here no one can disprove that the Buddha is not fully awakened. Right? So this is an Indian way of apophatic language, putting it in a negative. If you put it in the positive way, it means the Buddha's awakening is unimpeachable. It's true. Number two, no one can say that the Buddha has not destroyed all these mental influxes. In other words, all these impurities have not been removed. In other words, he's fundamentally pure of mind and pure of heart and pure of body also. And the third one is no one can disprove the practice of the Dhamma does not lead to the destruction of suffering. So in other words, if you practice it, you are certain to reach the goal of inner peace at least. So these are the three traditional points of moral courage, if you like. That's another term which is used. So Vesaraja translates as intrepidity, self-confidence, moral courage. The adjective is Visarada. It comes from vi, in this case meaning away, cut off from, and then Sarada refers to autumn, here autumn is a time when the crops have been harvested, fruits have been collected, and so on. So in other words, Sarada usually means unripe, immature, inexperienced. So the we here means out of it, it's away from it, it's no more of that state, so to speak. So the person is now mature, experienced, confident, courageous. Okay, now with that background, let's look at the sutta itself. Chatuka Vesaraja Sutta, the fourth discourse on intrepidity, A 4.8. Bhikshus, there are these four intrepidities in which the Tathagata is accomplished with intrepidity, by which he claims his place as the lordly bull herd leader, roars the lion roar amongst assemblies, and turns the perfect wheel. Here, perfect wheel is Brahma Chakra. It's another word for the Dhamma Chakra, the wheel of truth. It's perfect in the sense that the teachings, all they are complete, by way of the three trainings, for example. And here, the Buddha is described as a lordly bull herd leader. So he's a leader of men in spiritual terms. Just as in ancient India, or even today, there is the bull which leads the herd. It's a kind of a brave, calm, majestic figure. And then his roar, the Buddha's teaching is like a lion roar. When the lion roars, all the animals of the forest kind of fear it. They pay heed to it. Of course, when the Dhamma is being taught, the Devas fear it because they are reminded of impermanence, that they will fall from their state. But for those who are suffering, when they hear the teaching, they know the way out, so they're happy. Alright, so then the Buddha continues, what are the four? Number one, here indeed I see no ground on which any recluse or Brahmin or Deva or Mara or Brahma or anyone else in the world could justly accuse me thus. While you claim to be fully awakened, you are not fully awakened about these things. Not seeing any such ground, bhikshus, I dwell accomplished in security, accomplished in fearlessness, accomplished in intrepidity or moral courage. So no one can charge the Buddha that he is not fully awakened. Here basically what the Buddha is saying is, if you really want to practice his teaching, you have to accept the fact that he is fully awakened. So this is a very serious reminder for some of the so-called modern Buddhists who claim that the Buddha is not really enlightened, he's yet to attain full awakening. There's a very serious kind of accusation. There's a very bad wrong view. I think we got to read this sutta at least not to misrepresent the Buddha. The Buddha is fully awakened. There's no question about that. Number two, here indeed I see no ground on which any recluse or Brahmin or Deva or Mara or Brahma or anyone else in the world could justly accuse me thus. So notice here what the Buddha is saying is, not in heaven or earth, no one can challenge him. While you claim to have destroyed the mental influxes, you have not really destroyed them. So in other words, the Buddha has gone through his practice, he has overcome all the mental defilements that hold us back in the world and in suffering, and that ties us back to ignorance and craving, all that he has overcome. So not seeing any such ground, bhikshus, I dwell, accomplished in security, accomplished in fearlessness, accomplished in intrepidity. So basically the Buddha is saying, he knows what he's talking. He has gone through whatever needs to be experienced. Okay, now the third lion roar, if you like. Here indeed, I see no ground on which any recluse or Brahmin or Deva or Mara or Brahma or anyone else in the world could justly accuse me thus. These things that you call obstructions are unable to obstruct the spiritual progress of one who engages in them. Here the meaning is, there are certain things that Buddha say that if you do not give up, you will never be able to enjoy the fruit of your practice. In other words, to really practice the Dharma and taste its fruit, there are certain things you've got to avoid. During the practice itself, in other words, to attain at least stream winning, definitely non-return and arahant, especially for a monk, for example, like in the case of Arita, I think it's the Mahatana Sanghaya Sutta, where Arita claimed that, well, since a stream winner as a layman can have sex, so what's wrong with a monk having sex too? So this is a very serious wrong view. So it is an obstruction. Buddha declares that he's been teaching that sexuality is an obstruction to the monks. But the simple reason that the monks and the nuns, the monastics, have taken the vow, they have publicly declared themselves to be celibate. So if they break the rule, it's obviously it's lying. So it's not going. This basic rule is broken, so it's not going to be helpful. So this is called an obstruction, in other words. So on a deeper level, we can say self-view is another obstruction to stream winning. Having doubts and not clearing away the doubts, not building up wisdom is an obstruction. And being superstitious, seeking answers outside of ourselves, and in attachment to rituals and so on, is an obstruction. So, and those things prevent us from progressing on the path. Alright, then here there are 4 factors of intrepidity. Now number 4. Here indeed I see no ground in which any recluse or Brahmin or Deva or Mara or Brahma or anyone in the world, anyone else in the world could justly accuse me thus. When he teaches the Dharma to someone for the sake of the spiritual goal, when he works on it, it would not lead him to the complete ending of suffering. So this is a guarantee the Buddha gives us. If you practice his teaching as taught by him, and the term here is Dhamma nu Dhamma pati pati. Practicing the Dhamma in accordance with the Dhamma. Not practicing the Dhamma in accordance to scholars, or practicing the Dhamma in accordance to modern writers, according to what you have heard a speaker says, without foundation. You practice the Dhamma in accordance with the teachings, the suttas. If you do that, you are sure to gain the fruit in this life itself. Take the simple case of reflecting on impermanence. If you regularly reflect on impermanence, whether through faith or through wisdom, you make that a regular practice, a natural practice, in this life itself, you attain stream winning, if not definitely at the moment of passing away. So this is the Buddha's guarantee, in other words, that you will reach the end of suffering if you practice his teaching. So these are the 4 factors of, they are called the 4 intrepidities, the 4 aspects of moral courage, if you like. These bhikshus are the 4 intrepidities in which the Tathagata is accomplished, with intrepidity by which he claims his place as the lordly bull leader, the lordly bull herd leader, roars a lion roar amongst assemblies and turns the perfect will. So here the Buddha is saying this is what his teaching is about. Then the sutta closes with the Visaraja verse, the intrepidity verses. The paths of doctrine, whatever that crowds cling to, the recluses and Brahmins rely on, they, having met the Tathagata, come to naught. the intrepid gone beyond the doctrine paths. The meaning of this verse is that when we compare, if any other religion were to challenge Buddhism and they were to follow rules of truth and proper procedure, they would not be able to knock down Buddhism. In fact, you find that this is often the case. I remember once there was this monk who gave a public talk and invited all the other members of other religions. This was very early years, kind of I think very early in my life, at least about 30 years ago. So, in fact, interreligious discussions was not common at those days. So you can imagine people very excited to listen, and you have all this. The Hindu speaker talks about all these wonderful things about Hinduism, the inexpressible truth, and so on and so forth. And then the Muslim talks about his great teaching as a way of life, and so on. And then the Christian will be pounding his fist and talking kind of extra louder than the others, and so on. Sadly, none of them impressed the crowd. When the monk's turn came to speak, he spoke very calmly, very peacefully, in a very serene tone. And the people felt very happy, very connected, very joyful. So it is an example of how we stand up for the Dhamma. Then the last verse says, having overcome everything, he turned the Dhamma wheel out of compassion for all beings. To such a one, the best of gods and men, who has gone beyond existence, let beings salute. Let beings salute. So here we are told that the Buddha teaches not because he wants to save the world, but out of compassion for beings. In other words, he sees beings suffering, and he wants to get them out of the suffering, so he teaches them how to do it, to remove suffering from the root. But if we see other religions, they see other people, they see all beings. In fact, only human beings, other beings are not even kind of in the group, because they're not worth mentioning even. I mean, they won't be saved anyway. They're all kind of not part of salvation. Only human beings, and even then, human beings are sinners. They are rotten to the core, and so on. So it's not. It's like you're seeing a sick person, someone who's poor, in trouble, and having various difficulties, and we say, "Oh, these people are disgusting. They are like that because they are bad, right? So they need to repent." So it's quite a very strange and a very inhuman way of looking at people who are suffering. Whereas the Buddha says, there you are, these people are suffering, they need help. They need to be told what to do, they need to be educated, they need to be instructed how to be peaceful with themselves, how to get out of all this suffering by learning to live correctly, properly, happily. So there you are. These are the 4 interpretations. Do reflect on them. There are lots of notes before this, and you can look up SD 51.19. In the meantime, be sure you study the suttas, master the suttas, understand them, be joyful with them, so that you can stand up for the Dhamma before others and let them see the beauty and the truth of the Buddha's teaching, so that they too can practice it for themselves and be happy just like the Buddha. Let us now close with a short reflection. Our first task is to understand the Buddha's teaching, so that we understand our own minds, we strengthen ourselves, and we're able to stand up for the Buddha's teaching, for the benefit of others. Reflecting in this way is very good karma. By the power of such karma, may we be blessed with health, good health, and joy, peace of mind, wisdom, and the intrepidity, the moral courage to aspire to stream winning, at least stream winning in this life itself. By this truth too, may all our loved ones, family and friends be well and happy. All those people who have been kind to us and supporting us, may they too be well and happy. And those who are practicing the Dhamma in a proper way, in accordance with the Dhamma, may they too taste the fruit of the Dhamma in this life itself. And by the truth of the three jewels too, may those who are lost in teaching the wrong teachings, misrepresenting the Buddha, may they too see the right way in the three jewels, in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.